तो दोस्तों मुझे मौका मिला इंग्लैंड और आर्सेनल लेजेंड सोल कैम्बल के साथ कुछ बातचीत करने का। और ये एक बहुत ही इम्पॉर्टेंट मोमेंट है मेरे लिए मेरे कंटेंट क्रिएशन जर्नी में, क्योंकि एक लेजेंड है सोल कैम्बल। अगर किसी ने 2000s में फ़ुटबॉल देखा है, वो आर्सेनल की इनविंसिबल टीम और जिस तरीके से वो अपनी प्रेजेंस कमांड करते थे, वन ऑफ द बेस्ट सेंटर बैक्स जिन्होंने एक गेम को खेला है। तो जिन्होंने सोल कैम्बल को देखा है वो जानते हैं मैं किसकी बात कर रहा हूँ। तो ये कुछ सवाल हैं जो मैंने उनसे पूछे, जो मुझसे उनसे पूछने का मौका मिला। बहुत ही अच्छी तरीके से उन्होंने जवाब दिया है, एक बहुत अच्छी कॉन्वर्सेशन हुई है। तो मैं उम्मीद करता हूँ कि आपको ये पसंद आएगा।
Okay, so it's a huge honor and a privilege to be speaking to Mr. Sol Campbell, an
How you
absolute
doing?
legend of the game. Uh, I'm good, sir. How are you?
Oh, good. Are you a Fulham fan?
No, I'm a Chelsea fan.
Oh,
So,
sorry, okay.
but even as a Chelsea fan, I've always admired you, and it's a huge deal for me to be speaking to you today. So thank you so much for taking the time out.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay, so my first question is, I have to ask you the obvious, the big move in 2001 when you joined Arsenal
Yeah.
from Spurs. So what motivated that move? And to talk about that move a little bit, so it's not like what we see nowadays, right? When you got so much going on the social media, you got IT case, so all the things related to a transfer leaks, and everyone knows what's going on behind the scenes. But that was something which was absolutely unexpected. Like journalists came in and they were supposed to cover the signing of Richard Wright, and in comes Sol Campbell with Arsene Wenger. So how did it all go about?
Well, it was kind of fast. It wasn't, it wasn't kind of drawn out. It wasn't kind of, it was, the pace of the movement was at the end. It wasn't like, the whole thing was planned 6 months before. It was quite, I went to Inter Milan to look at Inter Milan as well. And then I came back. So it was kind of at the end, really. So, and it just, yeah, it was a big surprise. And back then you could, I'm not saying you could hide things, but there were, a lot of people were discreet about it because it was a sensitive move that would trouble people. I think with the move, I look at it and I say to myself, well, and there's a lot of people who've moved like that. Even Clarence Seedorf is Inter. You've got, you've got obviously the big one with Figo as well. You've got people, Enrique, he did, I think he did Barcelona and Madrid as well. You got Eto did youth Madrid, and then he went to Barcelona. You've got people, Michael Owen, you've got Kenny Miller at Rangers, Celtic Rangers. That's political and religious. There's countless other things that happen. You even go way back. You got loads of people who've moved clubs in Tottenham and Arsenal. I'm not the only one. So I think it just got blown out. I think it was beginning of the internet. I think people just kind of went on to it, and I also think people just lost it as well. Just carried on too much, and very vindictive. And yes, it's a move, but come on, there is you've moved on. You've got new stadium, got new training ground, new future. It's nearly 24th of a century. And also when you look at it, I've won so much. My move proved incredibly successful, and people, that's what you've got to look at. How successful I was as a player there. That's extremely successful. Nearly won the Champions League. Okay, scored, but 10 minutes from winning it. Invincible time, and first season I won the double. Won the FA Cup 3 times there. So plays top football there as well. Played with amazing players. Thierry Henry, Dennis Bergkamp, Patrick Vieira, Lumber, Perez, Colo, Ashley Cole, Ron, Jens Lehmann, Martin Keown was there, Edu was there, Kanu was there. One of the great African players ever. The team I left, Tottenham, to the team I went to, it's a different galaxy. It's a different galaxy, different solar system.
Yes, definitely. I think you are an invincible, so that was worth it, I believe. So reflecting on your career, what stands out as your most unforgettable moment, both with Arsenal and while representing England?
I think for me, definitely definitely being under so much pressure and winning the double in the first. Winning the double in the English league is a very special, unique thing. You know, everybody knows winning a double is really unique and special. Not unique, but special. And doing that my first season under scrutiny and under severe pressure to win that was great and amazing. But a couple of things for England. I think, you know, I did an amazing run against Colombia in the 1998 World Cup. That was just, you know, I took on like 5 players and I just slid in and popped out into Michael Owen, and he just needed to slot it in, and he kind of missed it, and that would have been one of the greatest goals ever. And I think, you know, scoring for in the same against Sweden in the World Cup, my first goal, which is special and unique, and unique in its own way, because many years after that goal, it was the first black Englishman to score for England in the World Cup. Then I didn't even know, you know. So there's another unique thing there that I did, and a milestone for football as well. So yeah, those few things.
When you look at the game today, you've got a lot of quality centre backs. You were one of the greatest centre backs of your generation. So which is the player which reminds you of your style the most in the current generation?
I think there was a bit of Rudiger. I like Rudiger. He's done incredibly well. You know, really on the players, and, you know, making sure the forward doesn't have space, and then when he has time, he can play. I like that kind of rash mentality. Like, you're not gonna, I'm on you. You're not. I'm just smother you, or just make sure you pass it somewhere else. You're not gonna get any space around me. That's what I used to do. Just make sure, but then light on my feet. If the twists and turns, if you've got a small player, if you've got a bigger player, things like that, just be light and keep them moving, almost like a ninja, moving and opposite movement. And like, as a defender, you've got to understand body shape and movement. You have to, and balance. Because obviously great centre forwards want to put you off balance. So you've got to always be counteract. You've got to be so light on your feet, but then ready to go left, ready to go right at a drop of a hat. So I think Rudiger for me is one of the ones I kind of see that, you know, understanding space and time and not allowing the forward to have any space to turn. You play it back. You're going to turn and shoot here. You play it back, and then when you go into the space, I'm there again as well. So I like that kind of defending.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I'm also a huge Rudiger fan. So he helped us win that second Champions League. He was immense in that run. So yeah, I completely agree. He's a brilliant defender. So talking about defending only. So how do you think the game has changed from the way you were playing it and the art of defending as a whole? Like, what changes do you feel are there in the modern game compared to when you were playing?
So I think with the modern day game and game I played, I think obviously there's a couple of things. The rules changed, and then you had to adapt the rules. And then now you play from the back, you play from the box, really. To play from, not everyone does it all the time, but, you know, a good 90% of the teams play out from the box. If it changes, they might kick it long or whatever. But they always seem to try to start to play to retain the ball. Back in my day, you had to be outside the box. You know, you have to play within the rules. You know, they're not playing out in the box, and then a player can kind of catch you. So you have to be, you know, have to play it long, or you have to, if the ball, the goalkeeper caught it, he could throw it out and then start the play from there. It was a different. You had to kind of adapt. I think now some of the players are not, you know, they don't want to put their head where it hurts sometimes. Even sometimes no one's even sliding anymore to block it. It's unbelievable. You can have your hands down the side. You know, hardly anyone slides to block a shot if someone's going to hit it from outside the box. Because what that does is, like, okay, as long as your hands are down the side, you've got to watch that. But you can slide, you can get to that ball, and if he takes it, if he cuts it and goes inside or outside, the next player is on it. So it's amazing how so many people like just letting people shoot. It's like in basketball, so I'll just go for the 3-point shot and things like that. You can shoot, and then we can go on. You know, it's like, you know, if they score, they score. They don't score. They don't score. They score. It's like, come on. It's that kind of that like fearless defending, and then when it does pop out, it really surprises you. So, my God, he's defending. It's incredible. Wow. But then some people just like, have a shot. Hopefully the keeper saves it or he misses. that side is quite apparent now. If you look through football now, that desperation to kind of stop that goal, I don't see that, week in, week out anymore. And when I do see it, it's like, wow. And then obviously the playing football side, you've got to play more now. From the back, we could have done that, but we didn't. We had the rules to play with. Now the academies have that style of play. So when they do get, if they do make it into the first team, they know what to do. They play from the back and things like that. They're used to it. That's if people say, "Oh, people play more now," it's just because the rules. If the rules are like that, we'd have to play. Back then, we were very adaptable, and that's what we had to play with. And those were the rules back in those days.
Do you think
the desire, that Rudiger desire?
Do you think the VAR has played a role in that? Like players have in back of their mind that if I go too hard into a challenge, that might get me penalized if it goes to the assistant referee or in the VAR room.
Yeah, you can't you can't clean tackles. Clean tackle anymore? What's wrong with clean tackles? Yeah, if you miss the tackle, yes. I totally understand it. But if you've got a clean tackle and the player comes out of it, doesn't matter how much force you put in. If you put force into it and you've cleaned the tackle and the player jumps up but he's fine, that means you've done a clean tackle, but just a tough, clean tackle. Wrong with that. It's not a reckless tackle. It's a clean tackle. You've got the ball. The guy's fallen over, but he's got up again. And that's the sign that it was a clean, tough tackle. There's nothing wrong with that.
Definitely, that is something that I've also noticed, and I completely agree with you on that point as well. Talking about your time at Arsenal, one piece of advice that Arsene Wenger gave you during your time at Arsenal that has stayed with you throughout your life and that helped you as a player as well while at Arsenal.
I think one of the main things Arsene has taught me. I am a system. I love systems, and he played the system, and he dropped the players into that system. And if it didn't work, that you got found out pretty quickly, then you had to probably sit on the bench and eventually all move on. So I think if you want to plan, get a system in place. You see the future of football going in that way. Get a system, get players to fit into that system, and then you got to start. Because if you have to do a system and then get players and then start all over again, I think it's hard work. But if you've got a system, especially as a manager, it's the style of play I want to play. Okay, style of play. That's what it's all about. If you think the future of football, which we were the precursor for Barcelona, and they took it to another level, but we kind of started that football, amazing football, 2000, 2001. That clean, on-the-ground football, slick football, tough, quick, players moving, interacting in different positions. We had the right back, left back coming in, Laurent and Cole coming in, scoring goals. That was, not unheard of, but the fluidity of the team, it was a precursor for the rest of Europe. So I think that's the thing for me. The system has kept me thinking about, Arsene had that system, and you got the players to fit that system.
And anything on a personal level which helped you being a better human being?
I think personal level with Arsene, if you know Arsene on the personal level is not like Alex Ferguson. He's more talking about the game, the systems of football, blah, blah. If you went to talk to him about your problems and all, he's not the man to go to. He's not. His brain kind of wired in a different way. So you didn't really go to him if you had that kind of problem. Really, you just stuck to football.
I think he's a brilliant manager, one of the absolute greats that we've seen. I'm a Chelsea fan, as I've already told you.
I know. I can see you behind you.
So, are there any special memories of your Arsenal versus Chelsea encounters, or any special game that holds a place in your memory?
I think there was obviously scoring in the goal. That was my first goal for Arsenal. I scored against Chelsea at Highbury. That's my first goal for Arsenal. So that was a special time to score a goal there. I think for us, we all had amazing games, and we've lost, and we lost a big game in the Champions League, and that's a massive thing. But then we won the double, the FA Cup game with Lundberg and Ray Parlour, both in the top corner goal. That was a special time. So those kind of etched in your mind. That we victorious at Wembley, and that was my first goal I scored for Arsenal against Chelsea. So it's quite nice, yeah.
Nice. You've faced absolute greats in the early 2000s that we've seen play the game. So which are the toughest opponents, according to you, that you faced or had a tough time against, while in the Champions League or in the Premier League?
I think for me, there's a number of players. There's a number of players, and they all have their own attributes. I can start with Andy Cole, Dwight York. They were like really, obviously, as a pair, as hard to the deadly duo. They were incredible. Then you got to say Emil Heskey and Michael Owen. These guys were like, if you weren't on it, they're good headers and getting in the box and on you. They were, nippy in the box, obviously, with Michael Owen. So they were hard work with those guys. And then when I was at Spurs, Dennis Bergkamp and Thierry Henry, those guys, that was a hard day's work. I really was saying, I've got these two guys and I've got them. And one thing I said, I better get a good night's rest because that Thierry Henry, he runs all day. So I'm going to get a good night rest because I need to run as much as him. So, those guys. And then you got, you'd have like, say, Shearer up against him. Obviously, back in the days when he was at Blackburn, he was a formidable striker as well. And then you got the other side. You got players like Duncan Ferguson, John Hart, some really big guys that they wanted the ball in the air. Said, "Come on, get the ball in the air, challenge me. If no one challenges me, I'm going to have a really good field day today." So you had to challenge them. You had to somehow say, "Hey, I'm going to challenge you in the air as well," even though maybe 1 or 2 inches taller than you. You had to you had to do it. You had to do it. You had to do it. So I came across all sorts of players. I could go back even further. The different types of players who would hack at you, use their elbows. In my early days at Tottenham, you had to kind of deal with those players. I came with players like their elbow and carry on, unless it was blatant. If they're giving you elbows and there's no VR, like you got a bloody nose or you got a bloody mouth or your tooth been knocked out and you got to go again. That's why I came. So I think I came through a lot of tough players, and then I had to play at the same time, skillful, strong players as well. So I think all of them had their day, and formidable kind of strikers, and you had to deal with a lot of things. There's not one player. And then you got to say Man United. You got Ryan Giggs as well. You got against Mark Hughes. I played against Mark Hughes. He was an incredible guy to chest the ball and control the ball. So I had all that. George Weah when he came, Yali, God rest his soul, play against him, incredible movement. I even said that. I said the movement of Yali was incredible as a young player. So where was he? He just disappeared, on the pitch. I couldn't find him, he was in the box with his movement as a youngster, as an 18-year-old, 19-year-old playing football. So, there's a lot. I've played with a lot of experienced players, and I've logged all those things. And one thing I do, once I log it, I log your movement, and that's it. I don't play. I say, okay, I'll watch you next time.
Yes,
that's how you learn. That's how you learn. That's very quick learner.
Yes, absolute legends you've mentioned. Okay, we are running out of time almost, so I just want to quickly ask you your all-time Arsenal 11.
It's got to be. It's Dennis Bergkamp. It's Henry. It's Lundberg. It's Patrick Vieira. It's Gilberto. It's Perez. It's Cole. It's Colo. It's me. It's Laurent. It's Jens.
Yeah, what a team! What a team! I think this team wins everything. You've just mentioned. Any question? One player you want from current Arsenal team? Do you think you can include in this team? One player from the current Arsenal team.
I would say Saka.
I also agree. He's world class. Even as a Chelsea fan, I have to agree. He's world class.
I think Saka could do it. Saka could do it. One of the young players coming up, he could do it. Saka. I feel it. Saka.
Yeah. So, okay. So that's our time. Thank you so much, Sol,
Thank
for
you.
being here and doing this.
तो ये था दोस्तों एक डिस्कशन सोल कैम्बल के साथ। काफ़ी इंटरेस्टिंग बातें हुई। मुझे वो पॉइंट काफ़ी अच्छा लगा जब उन्होंने बताया कि आज की डिफेंडिंग और पहले की डिफेंडिंग में क्या फ़र्क रह गया है, और रूडिगर में उनको उनकी झलक दिखती। तो ये काफ़ी अच्छे पॉइंट्स थे जो सुनने में काफ़ी मज़ा आया मुझे। तो थैंक्स टू एवरीवन एट सोनी स्पोर्ट्स नेटवर्क जिनके कारण ये अपॉर्चुनिटी मिली मुझे। तो डोंट फॉरगेट टू कैच ऑल द चैंपियंस लीग एक्शन, यूरोपा लीग एक्शन एंड कॉन्फ्रेंस लीग एक्शन ऑन सोनी स्पोर्ट्स नेटवर्क। और उम्मीद करते हैं इसी तरीके के और भी लेजेंडरी प्लेयर्स के साथ हमको बात करने का मौका मिलेगा। थैंक यू, आपको बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया। आप लोगों की वजह से ये सारी अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ हमें मिलती है। तो इसी तरीके से अपना सपोर्ट कायम रखें। मिलते हैं जल्दी, जब तक ध्यान रखिए अपना। टेक केयर एंड पीस।